Welcome to my Let's Play. This time, after searching and searching, I found Streets of Rage 2 hack I would love to play. And it is Power Rangers. 1 year after the battle. Wood Oak City, which is under attack, which a new evil has risen again. Goldar leads the chaos now. The problem I have is Wood Oak. The problem I have is Wood Oak doesn't make sense because I know for a fact that they're from Angel Grove, not Wood Oak. So I don't know if the person who didn't know much about Power Rangers because they're in Angel Grove because they have gone to a high school called Angel Grove Hive. So Wood Oak doesn't make any sense. This is our Monster Army. Putty patrols fill the streets. Okay, you can't see his face much. Citizens have no escape now. The city falls in darkness, but hope is not lost yet. A team of heroes arrives. It's Morphin time. Red Ranger leads the fight. Blue Ranger brings the power. Black Ranger strikes hard, moves fast, fights with grace, and Green Ranger joins the battle. They must join forces. Yeah, it's reading too fast. Obviously, that's Zordon. You just only see you can only see the bomb his face. Go, Power Rangers! The title looks like the Power Rangers the movie. That's the confusing part. It looks like Power Rangers the movie, but at the same time, it's not because this is actually based on the season one. Here you got the Black Ranger, Red Ranger, okay, Zach, Jason, Trini, which is before season two. Well, obviously, because if they was season two, you'd have Adam, Rocky, and Aisha, Kimberly, Billy, and Tommy, aka black, red, yellow, pink, blue, green. Now I'm going to try each of them out and only be choosing my favorite one as the last one. Let's see. So apparently Black Ranger has, yeah, has a lot of power, good technique, and good stamina, but doesn't have speed and jump. That's, you know what? Who needs jump anyway? That's the thing. Who needs a stupid jump? That's the thing. Who needs a jump? You don't need to jump in this game. Not really. Okay, I just noted he does have his weapon. It's just that you can't call upon the weapon. It's part of your attack, so I see. I wondered why I couldn't, like, just bring out my weapon when I first tried this. But it's no secret. Okay, I can just hold it down and then bring the weapon. Okay, cool. I am a huge, I don't know how big a huge Power Ranger fan. In fact, since I was created around 1987, that means around when it came out around 1993, I was there to watch the show. Surprisingly, it's not actually the first technically Power Ranger. What I mean to say is, oops, there was actually, believe it or not, 15 other Rangers before it. The Mighty Morphin Season 1 is actually considered 16. It means there's 15 other Rangers before it. And they didn't even start off with Zords. Well, I know, shocking. There you go. And of course I can't pick up the weapons because, you know, they're not really part of this game. Ow! Ow! Take that. Are you throwing it? Yeah, you're using a dagger even though you can't see the dagger. Wow. The most invincible putty ever. There's the knife. But it started off was Mighty Season 1, and then they decided to ask Japan to buy to make Season 2 because it originally the next season was going to be have nothing to do with connections, but in Power Rangers they are connected. Season 2, they decided to adapt Die Rangers. But instead of using the die suits, like the original one, they decided to keep the Dino ones because they figured they'd make more money if they keep using the Dino ones. That's why there's a lot more Dino than any other franchise, really, in the series. And then came Season 3, where they're called the Kaku Rangers. Ooh, a punk-looking putty. Nice. Well, he's got a knife. It just doesn't show up because putties can't. They don't look like they have knives. I like that the food is like hamburger and like what fries or something. That's cool. Yeah. So again, I'm just using every ranger, but gonna bring out my favorite eventually. And now I think about it, it looks like this is going back in time because it shows Rocky, Aisha, and Adam, and they're the ones that are like. This is, as you can see, the title scene looks based off of Power Rangers the movie. They're remembering their past when they weren't always the Rangers. So let's go as Jason, aka the original Red Ranger. Jason, you can't bring out your weapon? Okay, there we go. He just doesn't do it in his attack for some reason. Now, the first one I did was, of course, Mastodon. This one, of course, is Tyrannosaurus. And if people would point out, the one thing that doesn't make sense is Mastodon and Tyrannosaurus were not in the same era. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was the one that was first, and then Mastodon came in the Ice Age. So Power Rangers were inconsistent. So yeah, and then came, well, of course they had the Thunderzords to replace the dinosaurs, but instead of being called the Thunderzords, completely new Zords. Come on. So what happened was the old Dinozords were upgraded into the Thunderzords. So they were still Thunderzords, just upgraded to being more powerful, basically. But in the Super Sentai version, they were never upgraded because they weren't following each other. That's the thing, they were not following. But in the Power Ranger franchise, yes, they were following. Until they eventually stopped doing that. They only did it one time, I believe, the upgrades. So what happened was, the Zords were destroyed, they had to go on a ninja quest, and they became ninjettis. And they went into Season 3, which was known as Kaku Rangers. And of course, they introduced the Ninja Zords, the Shogun Zords, and new power coins. The Dino coins were not destroyed; they were damaged. Let's say destroyed, but they weren't. Wait, let me swing. Wow, you won't even let me swing, will you? Think you're hot stuff, don't you? You're not. Yeah, there's that knife wielder. Thankfully, Jason is a long range compared to Zack. And then, of course, they had to move on because they were running out of footage. And rather than ask Japan for more footage, make their own footage, they decided to move on. And they also introduced the Alien Rangers, which, to be fair, I really didn't like the Alien Rangers. They were a spin-off, but I really didn't care for the Alien Rangers due to the fact that they, even though they're on land, they act like they're in the water all the time. I mean, who can understand their language? Blah 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 blah. It's blah blah blah. It's like, dude, come on. Can't you speak normal on land, but speak water in water? It was stupid. It always got on my nerves. They couldn't speak English, they just speak water, fish, for crying out loud. I get there from Aquatar, but come on. You don't have to act like you're constantly 24/7 in the water when you're not in the water. You're on Earth, for crying out loud. Earth don't have too much water that you end up considering going blah 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 blah. No, because Earth does actually have land compared to your planet, you idiot. Looks like popcorn. So it's hamburgers and popcorn, I'm assuming. Alright, then I gotta reset. I get one level per ranger. Yeah, see, that looks like Power Rangers the movie. Even shows the medal that's based on the movie. So they used the actual movie as a way to make a story saying this is what happened in the past. Glad the lives stay. Alright, so who's next? Trainee. Trainee. Let's see. Okay, so Jason was weaker than Zack for some reason. Trainee is the same as Jason, but less technique. And a little bit more jump, which who cares about jumping? Their helmets look very good too. It's definitely based on the Sega Genesis version, I'm sure. Okay, that was cool. She can spin. I like that. Looking at Super Sentai and Power Rangers, you can tell there's a difference between the Rangers. For one thing, one of the questions I've had when I was like watching the show back years ago was I often wonder why Yellow Ranger never wore a skirt. It's a lady, but she never wore a skirt, and I found out through watching Super Sentai the reason why she don't wear a skirt is because the actor who plays the Yellow Ranger is actually male. That's why only Pink Ranger has a skirt because there was only one lady in this show. You see, there was never more than one Lady Ranger until Zeo. So both Zul, Dai, and Kaku were just one lady. Whereas O Ranger is when they broke the formula and decided, why don't we have two ladies? And the Sixth Ranger was always male, which is just like in the TV show, the Power Ranger one. Because both green and white were men. That's why they don't wear skirts. It wasn't until sometimes when they made like comics and stuff did you end up having the daughter of Tommy or something. I forget. It's a lady that takes over Green Ranger role, and in fact they even make a what if Rita actually was able to wield the. Do you stop smacking me? I'm trying to talk to people and you're like smacking me constantly, jerk. So in some adaptations, Lady Ranger ends up becoming Green Ranger, which that's fine and all. I don't care, but That's not my point. The point is, only one lady was in the actual Super Sentai version of it, which is the original Power Rangers. I thought Power Rangers was the original. Get over here, you. I thought Power Rangers was the original until I found out that was actually not true. Power Rangers is a adaptation of Super Sentai. So Super Sentai is actually the original Power Rangers. So like I said, even the ninja one, which was Kaku, there was only one lady. Only instead of a six ranger, they actually had a six ranger slash Zord, and that would be Ninjor. Oh well, in Super Sentai it was called Ninja Man. At least it was better than Ninjor. That's one of the things I didn't like about Ninjor. One of the things I didn't like about Ninjor was it sounded like a French person, because Ninjor sounds French, and it's like I can't help but think about we, and I like cheese. All right, so Kimberly's got speed, jumping, but has a little bit of technique, but not even as powerful as Yellow Ranger, and not as good as stamina either. So that's great to know. So that means she's got less health. All right, so we got the Pink Ranger, and of course she's got the. Wait a minute, I just realized something. She can't even use her long range bow. What kind of malarkey is that? She's the long range ranger, and then she can't even use her bow. She can only like. Look at that. She can't even use her bow to her full potential. She can only use it like a weapon, like a sword. Of course, the downside of playing in Streets of Rage, because there is no long range weapon in Streets of Rage. Jeez. Except for knives, but they don't count towards bow and arrow. Yeah, so what happened was, hmm, should I really give away the plot? No, no. People might want to watch the Power Rangers. Long story short, somehow their power coins got destroyed. I don't know what happened. Uh, well, I do, but I'm just not gonna tell you. And then what they had to do was somehow they became kids, and then they had to go on a quest to find the Zeo crystals that they were shown during the before they were kids. So they go look for the Zeo crystals, and it turns out, of course, there was only like five Zeo crystals. So that meant this was when they had to actually act like the original show, the Super Sentai, and not have a sixth Ranger. Yeah, they were actually getting rid of the sixth Ranger they kept for like the original cast of Mighty Morphin. Well, I don't mean like get rid of them completely. They just can't be a Ranger anymore, and so they decided to make Billy the scapegoat. So then came, should I say, O Ranger? O Ranger. Now, Mighty Morphin Season 1 versus Zool Ranger is they are different from each other. For one thing, as I said, Super Sentai doesn't follow the plot of the story. Meaning they're not linked together. Super Sentai have their own stories. Super Sentai, they're I think they're on another planet. I'm not really sure. Anyway, one difference is that everyone's names are different. For one thing, Bendora is the Rita counterpart, and she is more fun than Rita. For one thing, she can actually sing when she's happy, and she also does the can-can dance. Rita just complains about her painful head. Basically, she's boring. All she ever does is complain about her head, complain about her head. Ugh. Okay, now you have it, but it's not even much of a long range. It's still short range. You have everything in life, now can you? Alright. Now, moving on to the next one, which of course is Billy. In Die Ranger, was learning about kung fu fighting, basically. But, of course, they decided to forget that and just have like the Thunder Zords. No dye suits. Billy is a Blue Ranger. As you can see, Billy would have a lot more power. Same technique, but less speed, less jumping, and less stamina. Actually, no, more stamina. My bad. Alright, so Billy is one of the veterans. He actually lasted pretty long. When you stop and think about it, he was like the only veteran in Ohranger. You could say, well, Tommy's there, but you know, Tommy joined as the evil Green Ranger. He doesn't count as a veteran. Billy and the others were the first veterans. Tommy was like only a veteran later. It's like saying like NCIS that McGee is considered a veteran, but he's not because he joined later. He didn't join the cast until later. So the veteran are those who came before someone else. Let's not get into that. I hate NCIS. Anyway, so Billy is the only ranger that's the veteran in Ohranger slash Zeo. Well, the Japanese counterpart is Ohranger. Anyway, in Power Rangers Zeo, they explain that they have Zeo crystals that make them into Zeo Rangers, which they said will get stronger over time. Yet, if you compare it to Ohranger, they didn't have Zeo crystals. What they had was ancient technology back when the world was Pangea. And those who don't know what Pangea is when all lands were together into one continent before they were separated into different continents. That's what people say, that supposedly the land was Pangea. That everyone was all connected into one. Not that there's a complete proof of that, but it could have been possible. We just don't know. Hey, get back here. Yeah, your specialty does a lot of damage. That's good. I think it's funny that popcorn would give more health, but you would think hamburger would give more health, since hamburger is so popular. So, Power Rangers versus Ohranger. I'm not going to give too much of that, of course, but in Power Rangers, they can use the Zeo crystals, but the biggest problem they have is two problems. One problem is it's draining their life, as seen from Jason, which people thought Billy was going to become the new Gold Ranger, until you find out that he couldn't because of too much negative inside his body. So Jason became the Gold Ranger, but then we found out, unlike the Zeo Rangers that were like based on, you know, Earth. Actually, no. That's the funny part. They kind of changed that from the Super Sentai. Uh, Apparently, the Zeo crystals come from Zeo Planet, the very ones that actually ruined Lord Zed's whole body. But you know, I'm not gonna into that. However, the biggest problem is apparently Zeo is a combination of Zeo Planet and the alien technology, which I don't get that. This seems to be a little bit of problematic right there. Alright, so, going to my favorite ranger. I'm not surprised, it's the 6th ranger. A lot of times it's always the 6th ranger. So now I can actually play this game. And that'll be Tommy, the Green Ranger, which to me, that helmet looks a little different. And let's see, Tommy has actually the same as Billy. They didn't really change much. Wonder why. See, that part is weird. They should have given Tommy like a 4-star because I've always thought the Green Ranger was more better than the 5. Weird. Okay, so let's go and. All right, however, unlike the Power Rangers who get drained of their their life, I should say, not HP. This not a video game. All right, so can I bring out my dagger? Hold on, let me just. No, Tommy, where's your dragon dagger? No dragon dagger. Jeez. No, I should be able to bring the dragon dagger. There we go, the dragon dagger right there. I saw that. So the O-Rangers, the reason why they don't get their life drained from the Zeo suits is because they go for augmentation. What augmentation is, for those who don't know, is to upgrade your body. So what that means is, since they've been augmentated, another word from like that is like robotically enhanced, is that they don't get drained as much. It actually makes their body can handle the draining, whereas the Power Rangers can't. They don't have augmentation. It's ironic that you can't pick up a knife because you use a knife, a dagger, should I say. A dagger and knife are sort of the same, except for I think the dagger is slightly bigger. So, with, oh, yeah, get at it, you bad self. So, O-Rangers have made their own Zord, but the other Zords, I believe, were from the ancient place. Forgot about you. Sorry, my Dragon Dagger beats your dagger by a long shot slash knife. And unlike the others, Tommy is a real martial artist. The others are fake. Because Tommy actually, who goes by Jason David Frank, actually has a real dojo. Should I say had a real dojo? Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. I'm sorry they turned you into a Tommy show, that you are all about Tommy. Even nowadays, you can actually play as like all Ranger Tommies, like he's still the Tommy show. What he really was a cash cow. Your henchman. So Billy's no longer a Power Ranger. Billy is actually the person who helps fix up the place, repair the damage to the Zords, and all kinds of stuff. And then, for the first time, they actually had a new villain compared to the season 1, 2, and 3, which was the same one, which was Rita and Zed. They had a Machine Empire. And eventually they ran out of footage of Zeo. They decided to move on. So what they did was they decided to give the Zeo suits one of the most dumbest weakness ever because it makes no sense. Especially if you look at the footage from the Japanese one. They were from the Earth, but 1,000 years ago, Pangea. Whereas this one's about being a... One thing that's rushed that didn't make any sense was they made the suits weak to water. In the start of Power Rangers Turbo the movie, Catherine tried to morph when she was falling into water, but it got cancelled. Apparently, it short-circuited, and she couldn't transform. But there's a flaw in that design, and that flaw is if they were made by Aquitar technology, then why aren't they immune to the water? I'm only going to assume that the reason why they're not is because unlike Aquitar, the earth is polluted, so the water is polluted. So basically, that must be how it is. That must be how they got it. They must have got it because they were saying that because earth is polluted, then the powers... But that doesn't make sense either because... Hey, there's no bartender that time. Where's the bartender? Ooh, so that's what I gotta deal with. Nice. A putty was a rock. Rock and roll. Still, it's a cheap excuse to move on from Zeo to Turbo. Now, I looked at the internet, and apparently, when it came to Super Sentai, Zeo is actually their not so money-making idea. Apparently, the Zeo slash Witch's O Ranger. Hey, it's her, one of the bosses. There is no Monster Grow in this one because this is not Power Rangers. So full. Gotcha. And to be fair, O Ranger was kind of a weak story. Now we move on to, should I say, the black sheep of the Power Rangers. Car Ranger versus Turbo. Now, Power Rangers Turbo was weak sauce compared to Car Ranger. In Power Rangers Turbo, they were just teenagers that somehow, well, close to being adults. They were young men that and women that were okay, young men and women that were close to adulthood, but they eventually were given cars, which is ridiculous. They don't explain why they were given cars. They were just told that because Zeo was weak to water, that now they had to replace the Zeo powers with Turbo, which is, as people had arguably said, Turbo was a weaker power compared to Zeo because Zeo was already pretty powerful. Stamina doesn't mean how much HP you have, but more like how much damage you take. I'm confused by that. So, Zeo, they were given, you know, they were given like, not Zeo, a Turbo, they were given like car Zords. which honestly it ruined the whole fantasy for me because when you start using like everyday vehicles as like Zords, I get it for Super Sentai, but still, it's still stupid because who wants to use a car nowadays? I mean, come on, you have to use a car in real life, but who wouldn't want to use something like a Dragon Zord or a Saber-Tooth Tiger over a stupid car? It's everyday life. Doesn't mean you have to use it in Power Rangers. It's dumb. Anyway, like I said, and Turbo was like arguably one of the weakest, should I say, parts of the show because it just didn't have very good plot compared to Car Ranger. Unlike Power Rangers, Car Ranger's plot is the main characters are actually mechanics. Tangela, that's from Power Rangers the movie. Sweet. But yeah, I mean, you're mechanics, so that's good. That's a good thing. They even have something comical where the leader of the mechanic says to his boss, "You're fired." And the boss gets mad and says, "I don't want to work here anyway." Goes to his car and he's like, "Wait a minute, I'm the boss." "No, you're fired." And I love how the ending is like, even though the guy never got fired, he still says to his boss, "You're fired." I go why, but I just always thought it was hilarious. It was goofy, comical, and I loved it. But the big problem is, it's funny because for the first time ever, they introduced Kid Ranger into the Power Rangers franchise. Justin. Justin was the first child to be a Power Ranger, which is funny because if you look at Super Sentai, they've actually done the kid thing twice. Die Ranger, you had Kiba, That's his name. He was the one that did the White Ranger. That's why with Tommy had to do something like dancing, is because he's acting like a 9-year-old kid. And in the Gold Ranger version, another kid basically. Hey, it's Rita. It's not Rita. It's Robo Rita. Oh, that's cool. Instead of regular Rita, you actually have Robo Rita from the Once and Always, I believe it was called. It was an anniversary special. Cool. So that's not Rita. That's actually Robo Rita. Which makes sense when you think about it, because technically, the real Rita didn't actually attack you. It was actually Robo Rita that attacked, whereas regular Rita was more like a I'll just let my monsters do my bidding. That's cool. I like how they replaced some of the bad guys with actually Power Ranger villains. Actually, all of them have been replaced. What am I talking about? Putties and that's so cool. This game has actually been like a love letter to Power Rangers. So one of the reasons why people hate Turbo was because of one. Well, Rocky got hurt, and then he had to replace by Justin. But that's not why people didn't like the Turbo. One of the reasons why Turbo wasn't like not really liked was because you had Justin. It's not because he's a kid. It's because, well, yeah, it is because he's a kid. That's the problem. The problem is he's a kid being surrounded by a team of young adults, and nobody can really be able to understand, be able not to say the word pedo, because when you have like a group of adults with one child on the team, it's you can't help but say the word. The second reason why is because a lot of kids hated Justin, and the reason why some kids hated Justin was because he is living their dreams. For the first time, you actually had a child as a ranger in the Power Ranger franchise, even though Super Sentai did it twice, but you never saw Super Sentai. The point is, you had a child actually being a Power Ranger, and many kids were outraged because it wasn't fair that he got to be a Power Ranger and they don't. Which I understand. That's probably why after Turbo, after they ran out of footage for Turbo, excuse me, that's probably why they got rid of Justin. In Turbo, the bad guys had grown, but not the same way as the Super Sentai. Super Sentai was actually a special food that made them grow. I forgot what they call them though, but it was like. Though what's funny about the food in question was it actually had to be cheap and healthy. If it was like expensive, it would not work. They would actually, I think, shrink. And expired food also would ruin things. So it had to be cheap and good food. Whereas in Car Ranger had more story because it had like something to do with like Planet Hazard and all kinds of cool stuff. Way better than, should I say, Power Rangers Turbo. Yeah, so eventually, because I think people disliked the fact that a kid was a Power Ranger. Ow, this Hank Warrior is like so rude. That they eventually decided to replace Justin by having his dad needing to move homes because he's got a new job. I think that's the real reason why they got rid of Justin. And then when the Rangers went into space, that's... Hold on. Some stupid moron. Some rude a-holes have to like constantly try and steal money and information. It's hard to tell if you get original people or people who are just AI or those who are just trying to steal the information. You know, like scammers. We get those constantly now. That's sad. People can't be civil. They have to be trying to scam people out of their money. Like losers. Let's get rid of that knife. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So they went into space. That's when they moved on to Power Rangers in space. So, I'm not gonna lie. After the Mighty Morphin saga, I started getting less and less wanting to deal with the Power Rangers at all. Especially when I saw a little bit of Power Rangers in space, and I just didn't really care for Power Rangers in space. I'm gonna die soon. What I didn't like about Power Rangers in space was that for the first time ever in Power Rangers history, they started acting like some kind of a dumb sitcom, like Family Matters or something. I mean, it was so dumb. I mean, they were fighting over who gets to do the dishes. Oh no, my one saving grace got ruined because it went off screen. Well, I died for the first time. Stupid game. Ruined my life by getting rid of that popcorn. Jerk. Yeah, so it started becoming a stupid sitcom where they're fighting over who gets to do the dishes, and the ladies are like, uh, I'll do the dishes, I'll do this. And the guys finally say, like, fine, I'll do the dishes. And then they're like, oh yeah, we made the males do the dishes, yeah! I just wanted to roll my eyes and go, lady, just shut the... If you're gonna fight over who gets to do the dishes, you're stupid. You have a duty as rangers to save the day, and you're gonna fight over some lousy, stupid dishes? I had no respect for that. I think I saw a little bit of Lost Galaxy, but then after that, that's when I called off the whole watching Power Rangers. I liked the Mighty Morphin way better than any of the other ones. That's probably why they had more franchise and toys with Mighty Morphin than any other group. Because it was worth more money than some stupid newer ones. The Zeo, the Turbo, the In Space, the Lost Galaxy, the blah, 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 blah. Don't really care. Amber, I need it. Alright, this is gonna be annoying. This is where I have to go and attack up this thing. Yeah, I can't use my special attack on it. Ouch! Yeah, so it's no secret that my favorite franchise was of the Power Rangers was actually Mighty. I can't. There we go. I mean, I can understand why I can't use my weapon because Streets of Rage they don't have weapons unless they pick them up, but it's still annoying. So it feels less like Power Rangers. Okay, that's not even a new Power Ranger villain. That's just the original one. Hated this one. This one's annoying. You get temporary invincibility unless they attack you, and it's like it's annoying. And that's why I'm just spamming my special attack. And I realized what I'm doing. I'm actually using a special shield that's created by the Dragon Dagger. I like that. Go. You've been taken down now. Come on. There. Yeah, and another thing I find annoying about the whole Power Rangers franchise is they have to constantly, almost every flippin' Power Rangers always has to have their own adaptations of Go Go Power Rangers. Which even Super Sentai is guilty of doing the same thing, except for the fact they don't say Go Go Power Rangers, they say their title. Constantly. They have to say Go Go Power. Did you just hit me with a knife? Rude. Constantly. They have to say Go Go Power Rangers in every stinking title. All of them have the word Go Go Power Rangers. Fudge. But they'd come up with decent songs that didn't have to do with always Go Go Power Rangers. Jeez. Stop milking it so much. Ouch. Ow. Ah. Am I being double teamed? Rude. Give me my burger. I'm glad they changed the health items to a burger and popcorn, it looks like. Definitely makes it feel like less of Streets of Rage. I'm glad they bring Tangos. They're from the movie, Power Rangers movie, obviously. Only the Tangos are different compared to the actual Power Ranger game, surprisingly. And then, to make things worse, in the newer Power Rangers, they had to introduce fart jokes. Why? Why do you have to introduce fart jokes? Look, fart jokes were funny like years ago. And yes, probably some people still laugh at fart jokes, but they're not always funny. They can get repetitive, they can get old. Don't over don't you throw your don't you use your pipes at me. They get old. They get repetitive. They become boring. Bodily functions aren't always funny. Every show always has to have a fart or a burp. Even Teen Titans did that stupid gag. When Beast Boy went brainwashed and Starfire had to use a burp or a fart or something. And ah, you. Come on, come at me. Hamburger. I don't think the popcorn is based on the Power Rangers video game because I remember hamburger, but I don't remember a popcorn. I think they just added that. And then, it's not like they really wanted to get rid of Justin because in Super Mega Force, Justin came back as the Turbo Blue Ranger. He even came back in a Power Rangers Space crossover between him and the Space Rangers. That's because they couldn't bring back Turbo because Space was the original Turbo cast. And then supposedly, Tommy gave up his powers to TJ, which he did. But if you look at the Power Ranger comics, he actually was able to use the Master Morpher and was able to have turbo power back. So I don't know how that works. Oh yeah, that's the fat one. So now I gotta waste power on. Also, when I didn't learn what I learned had a recent, I learned like through internet and stuff. That I learned that there were some downsides to the whole Power Ranger franchise. For one thing, uh, despite making millions and millions of dollars, they paid the cast barely anything. That's one of the reasons why I've always wondered why all of a sudden during season 2, why Jason, Zach, and Trini were replaced by Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. It wasn't until I found out on the internet that it was because they wanted more money, and the higher ups decided instead of giving them their more money, they decided to replace them with Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. Ow! And then what's really bull crap is then I was like thinking to myself, I remember when Billy had become an old man, and I'm thinking to myself, why was he replaced? He was the last veteran ranger left. Then I found out the reason why that they had Billy leave was because they lied. They said that Billy was like Jason, uh, uh, Saint Augustine, um, Walter, and I forgot who Trini was. They claimed that Billy wanted more. The person who played Billy, they claimed that the one who played Billy was wanting more money. But I didn't believe that crap because Billy was there ever since Mighty Morphin and stayed around Zeo and then what Turbo I think. It didn't make any sense that all of a sudden he just wanted money. Just what? That's it. Just he just wanted money. Yeah, see, that's the biggest problem I have is that's definitely a boss from the Power Ranger franchise, Cockatrice, something like that. But I knew something was wrong because Billy was there for like years, and you're gonna tell me just all of a sudden just demanded money and then you replaced him and then he had to go to Aquitar to fall in love with the leader of the aliens, the Aqua Rangers. No, I knew something was wrong. It didn't feel like that it was a money issue because Billy was there for years. If he had a money issue, they would have replaced him off the get go for like they would have replaced him along with Jason, Zach, and Training. Which so I had to look on the internet and in the end after looking up on the internet, I found out the reason why that Billy was replaced was due to the fact that there were some prejudice on the screen. Some people during the making of the Power Rangers actually was prejudiced towards gay people. So they were actually targeting Billy as their hate crime. Goodness, I needed a hamburger. And so finally, Billy couldn't take it. He couldn't take the fact that they were just hating him. So what happened was he left the show and they decided to make a lie and say that he wanted money. More money. Just like it was Jason Zach Trainee. However, because Billy was bullied, he actually was like trying to go through a hospital to try and get him to actually rewire his brain so he would like ladies. However, trying to rewire your own natural birth is almost impossible without any consequences. And by trying to rewire himself to like ladies, he actually went through a mental breakdown and had to go to the hospital for a few weeks. However, the fact that they treated him so poorly was like very wrong. It make me just annoyed by the fact that people um would go as far as to ruin some people's lives just because they're gay. It's wrong, it's mean, and it has no right in this world. People have to respect everyone's way of life. If they like certain people, then what does it matter? It's a stupid TV show. So, so in the end, you think a lot of shows that you like because they're like you're like wow the show is great, but then you look at the downside and you're like wow the show sucked because it wasn't the show that was the one that really sucked about it. It's the one who made the show that made it suck because they were so prejudiced over something meaningless is what people prefer in a mate. It's stupid. I have no respect for that. I had to close my door. Bella forgot to close my door when she was going to take her shower. There's Robotic Bandora again. Robotic Rita, I should say. Apparently, Robotic Rita is actually based on Bandora, which I could sort of see that. I want the hamburger. Thank you. So, I'm gonna fight Rita. Even though I call it Rita, did she call it Robotic Rita? I died because I was like, she was too close to me. I'm gonna get rid of your minions. I like the Moonstaff, it looks neat. Did I miss you? Hope I didn't. Yeah, my special attack doesn't work on Robo-Rita. And from what I learned, of like Robo-Rita is basically a combination of Rita and one of the alpha units. There's like what 8 alpha units, I think. I forgot how many there are. So yeah, not gonna lie. I only prefer the classic Power Rangers. That's why I have on my neck the Falcon Zord, because the Falcon Zord was my favorite Zord of all the Mighty Morphin. I liked it. It was a pretty cool thing. I'm getting attacked by these ninjas, of course. They're the bombs. It's gonna get more harder because this is where I start stripping of my lives. Just when they try to grab me, that's stupid. Go away. You use a weapon on me? We'll see about that. And I have my special attack. I like how one of them looks like a clown putty. I don't think that ever happened in the show. I could be wrong though. Yeah, my lives are starting to drop. I had a lot more than that. The point is, I don't just I don't just have love the show. I actually love the both Super Sentai and Power Rangers because they gave their own stories. It's not they are look the same, but they're not the same. They have their own stories, and I like that they have their own way of telling their story. However, it does suck that despite the fact that they're a nice show, in reality there's some problems, skeletons in the closet that were never like known about. Because when you're a kid, you didn't know that stuff because you weren't supposed to know it. It was supposed to be behind the scenes that you're not supposed to know about the sins that were created, like someone hating gay people for absolutely no reason. And another one. Name is Turkey. First you have a cockatrice, now you have a turkey. Okay, cool. I gotta go recover myself again. Ow! Turkey, 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 turkey. Stay 6. So, I'm not suggesting you should hate Power Rangers because that doesn't make sense. I'm not just saying that be careful that these shows they come off like very nice, but on the actual inside of it, people weren't always treated right. Like Wizard of Oz. I mean, the whole Betty Epson was the one that was the original Tin Man, but he got allergic to the silver dust that they used for his suit. And did they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Buddy Epson, did you got sick? You got like you almost died from the Tin Man suit?" No, they didn't. They just said, "Well, it's your fault," or something like that. So it's like we're gonna replace you with someone else. They didn't care about the actor at all. They just wanted to have him replaced by someone else. The witch got hurt because of fire, and even Julie Garland was like screwed on. Screwed, I mean, because all they did was kept giving her like things like coffee and soup. They wanted her to be as thin as possible, and that wasn't very good because it was actually making her very unhealthy. The regular human body requires more than just soup. It needs something nutritious. And soup is not nutritious. It's filling but not very nutritious. All it is a few bit of pasta with liquid. It does not make a healthy choice. Pizza, on the other hand, at least is more healthier than the soup because a pizza has everything from cheese to tomato sauce to any topping you want. It makes it very, I'm not gonna say extremely healthy, but it's still a healthier choice than drinking soup, for crying out loud. And coffee's not healthy because it's just used to wake you up. It's not healthy. But when you're a producer, you don't seem to care about people's lives. You just figured, they're just there to like, uh, what do you call that? Expandable, exposable, like disposable people that you don't give a crap about. All they're useful for is acting. Whole point is Power Rangers could have treated their actors a lot better. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the real reason why the one who played Kimberly left because they couldn't take the abuse from the producers and stuff. Just like in Mario Brothers, the first movie, Bob Hackins did not like the bosses, and he didn't like the fact that the place was so hot and no air, no ventilation to help the actors out. He said it was basically a nightmare. So as a child, you wouldn't know what people have to go through to make a show, but once you learn about the reality of it, it's like, wow, you have to respect the actors more and more for what they had to deal with. And Power Rangers is no exception to the rules. That's why the one who played Jason, Zach, and Training eventually had to actually found better jobs that paid more compared to Power Rangers, which paid very little. And they had no excuse, like I said. They made a lot of money from the show, so it's a real shame that they couldn't even like decide to be nice about it and just pay the actors what they deserve. I mean, they should just probably have gone like Teen Titans Go from Cartoon Network and just had like lame, uh, very lame amount of money that was put into the show, but stupid fart jokes and all kinds of crap that don't belong in the show at all. I mean, even Power Rangers, which is supposed to be like sophisticated, actually had to have a fart joke in the end. It's like, was just bull crap, man. It's like, could you explain to me why they had to have some such stupid, lame fart jokes? Fart jokes do not make a show. They are stupid. They're not always funny. Get out of my face. Thank you. Ah, stupid putties on bikes. Thank goodness they weren't like that in Power Rangers slash Super Sentai. Get rid of the pipe. Yeah, I'm gonna start losing some lives, and I'm fine with that. Did you just pick the pipe back up? Stupid. There's the cockatrice again. Back as a mid-boss, it looks like. I love how it's a cockatrice, but it has like hedge clippers. Ow. And of course, there's Robo Rita again. This is what's the third time? Yeah, I feel like the third time. Sometimes my jumping attack is hard for me to get her. Then when she gets too close for me, it's like, wow. But the whole Zeo being weak to water was stupid because it was made by the Aqua Rangers, which was a planet full of water. And what do you know? Earth is made of bit of like a lot of water with some land to it. Wow, I'm shocked. The Earth has water. I'm just gonna say that the Earth is contaminated with poison water, and that's why Zeo powers were failing or something. And Zeo planet doesn't even have water. That's the ironic part. So maybe that's why. But the technology was still Aqua Rangers. So again, if it wasn't made of water, then why is it be made with the power of the Aqua Rangers, which was a water planet? Failure to understand that crap. And everybody knows that the best Power Rangers was Mighty. The one was a combination of Mighty, Thunder, and Ninja. Zul, Dairanger, and Kako. Because that's why they decided after Super Mega Force, they decided to bring Once and Always and bring back the original Power Rangers. They even brought back the original Megazord, which they did not explain how they did that because the Megazord was actually an upgraded Thunderzord. So they didn't explain what made the Megazord split from the Thunder parts. Not that it matters. I believe it was Once and Always that was like about the fact that Trini's had a daughter, which that seemed like convoluted and crap because it's like, if, how did Trini find someone to have a daughter? Then they gave Jason David Frank a nice signed off by making a comic where he has a son was Catherine. Realized it actually. Did I forget to turn down the volume? Yeah, I did. No wonder why I was hearing bombardment. Pew, 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 pew! Yeah, it's funny that sometimes the trash cans don't have don't always have an item on it. Ow! Ow! Stupid pipe. Yeah, so if anyone asks me what my favorite Power Ranger was, it was definitely a Mighty Morphin era. People were treated a lot better, and yeah, there were some budget cuts, and like, well, supposedly budget cuts, but in reality, they had a lot of money. They could have paid the actors, but even though the three characters were replaced, the point is, I actually prefer season two because I actually prefer the White Ranger over the Green Ranger. The whole Evil Tommy was based on Super Sentai, and Zero Ranger, it wasn't like the guy was actually evil at first. It's just the problem was he was full of hate. Stop bashing me with that rock. Jeez. Ow. Ow. Popcorn. I need popcorn. Definitely need that popcorn. Don't you throw your ninja stars at me. I'm not even in the Ninjetti saga yet. Now, obviously, one of the things that doesn't fit about the Dinozords is the fact that The Green Ranger Zord is called the Dragon Zord. It has nothing to do with the Dinozords at all. I'm gonna use my special attack until I run out. Get back to using the attack when I get my popcorn, of course. Yeah, this is my favorite, so far my favorite mod, because I liked the Power Rangers. I just never knew how much work had to go into it. Now they're starting to do more damage than they did before. Here we got Robo Rita, that's like, what, 4 times? Yeah, that's gonna be like 4 times. And the reason why she won was because of the putties. It's not even a real Rita. The real Rita is actually turned good. She actually became the Mystic Mother from Mystic Force. So the real Rita actually is turned good. This one is just a robotic copy of Rita and one of the alphas. Which, like I said, if I had a choice, I'd actually prefer Bendor over frickin' Rita, because Rita's just an annoying witch, that's all. I like how she just grabs me. It's like, can you stop? Can you stop, really? I can't believe we're getting closer to the ending now. That's great. This game is not that hard. I'm not surprised. See, the first game was actually much harder than the second game. The first game was actually harder. The first game is actually harder, and the second one's actually a little bit easier. Then 3 becomes even the same as 1, which is just as hard as the first game. So the second one is definitely something you should start off with. May not give a good plot, because, you know, the first one gives the first plot of it, but at least the second one you'll be able to survive better. Especially if you're good at the game. I'm not very good at the game. That's why I'm glad I got these 9 lives. Plus, yeah, I might as well just let loose all this special attack and just, you know, just take out my opponents faster. There. Ooh, a new one. Look at that. That's so cool. It's a 3-headed one. It looks like Andre. Like Andre the Giant. The shirt looks like Andre the Giant. Mega. Alright, where are the robots? There we go. Yeah, the robots haven't changed. Of course they haven't changed. I'm not going to change the robots. Alright, so the robots haven't changed. It's the same robots. I still made it though. Extra guy, that's good. Now we're at the final stretch of it. We already saw Robo-Rita, so I'm wondering who's going to be the higher up. I mean, who's going to be a henchman. It's not going to be Rita because I saw Robo-Rita, and I'm sure the boss is going to be Zed, since this is the Mighty Morphin era. The problem is, this isn't Season 2, so I don't know if Zed's going to be the boss. See, Zed was in Season 1, not Season... I mean, Season 1, yeah, I'm sorry. Zed was in season 2, not Season 1. Season 1 was all Rita. So the question is, who's going to be the boss then? If it's not going to be Zed, because I don't know, maybe it's Rita. We saw Robo-Rita, which wasn't there until the anniversary of the Power Rangers, which they brought the Megazord back, because they liked the nostalgia. Couldn't bring the Thunder Ninja, that sucked. Yeah, I'm just going to spam my attacks. It's going to kill me, and I'll probably have to use an extra life. I mean, extra a continue, but that's okay, I don't care. Destroyed you. Huh. I haven't seen you because you were replaced by someone else. Just gonna use my Dragon Shield. Let's just keep going. They give me enough continuous so I can handle this. Just won't have a high score, that's fine. It's no big deal. High scores don't matter that badly anyway. I just want to see who the final boss is. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Clucky, I think it's saying. That's a cool name for. It looks like a chicken anyway. Clucky is a, I believe, a cockatrice, which unlike that one, usually has the power to turn characters to stone. Oh, that's funny. It tells instead of Zed, you have Goldar. That's why, because okay, and Rita couldn't be there, so apparently it's one of the monsters, and Goldar is the leader. Of course, they said Goldar attacked. That's because this is in season 2. If this was season 2, I'd have Tommy as the White Ranger. So of course Goldar is going to be the boss, because there is no Rita apparently. I guess because Rita wouldn't fit the bill, I guess. Goldar would. Right. My last life. Continue as. I want to continue as Tommy. Got a good way of teleporting, that's for sure. Bones, of course his name is Bones. He looks like he's a skeleton. Yeah, there goes my score, and I'm fine with that. I don't really care for our scores anymore. They weren't that useful anyway. They didn't give any prizes or money. So what was the point of it? Just for like bragging rights? I'd throw that in the trash can where my diploma for catching all 151 Pokemon belongs. Alright, Goldar, you and me. Gonna spam the special attacks constantly so I can Are you kidding? That looks so funny. Stupid putties. Alright, Goldar, let's go take you down. Definitely have enough lives to do this. Um, Get out of my way, putties. That just looks weird. He's got a sword, but he's firing a machine gun. Not gonna lie, it just looks weird. There we go. There's Goldar. Now we can finally see the ending of this. Cool. If we can see the final cutscene. I forgot to put the music on. My bad. I knew I forgot something. I'm sorry, I forgot the music. I'm a little tired today. Next game will have music. I'm sorry. I just don't play the game music, because of copyright issues. YouTube loves to send down copyright. So yeah, finishing thoughts. Power Rangers slash Super Sentai were like great shows, but it's a shame that in Power Rangers you find that there's so much bad things. Like to go as far as to hate someone who's gay, it's like that was just wrong. Be with you shortly, Mom. But I enjoyed the show. I mean, that's why I've got myself a necklace right over here. Show up somewhere here. It's a Falcon coin. That's because, like I said, that's my favorite Zord, and I like the White Ranger over the Green Ranger. But I recommend both Power Rangers and Super Sentai. They are very good. I still have the highest score. A lot of points. And the other one behind me was actually Zach. Well, this is it. I hope you enjoyed my video. I enjoyed playing it because I was a huge Power Ranger fan. But it's time for me to go. Until then, I gotta go. Bye.